Hey, it's Melissa with Winging Dude Publishing. Talking today about the title of my book. I'm walking you through the process of how my book is being developed. It's going to be released in spring of 2025, but I wanted to share this process with you because I think it's important for people to get insight, because I didn't get much insight, except from a few sources. It wasn't prevalent on people really encouraging people to write their own books. And so that's why I'm doing this with you. When it comes to the title of the book, it was not the first thing that I focused on. It was hard in the beginning because I wasn't sure what to title it. I wanted to be competitive. I wanted it to stand out. But then at the same time, it's like, well, I can be competitive and stand out with something outrageous. But then at the same time, is it truly reveal what the book is about? And I found the most meaningful titles to me are the ones that really just kind of pinpoint the subject matter. And you can't do that, I don't think, effectively by coming up with the title first and trying to live up to the title when it's a book, when it's something long form. Something short form, yes. But in my opinion, you know, I just wanted to get all of it out and then choose the title later. And so that's what I did. Now, the working title for this book is a very Southern thing. And it was Peaked. Now, the problem with peaked is if you don't know what that means, then why would you be attracted to the book? But that was my working title. Anytime I titled the manuscript or the revised manuscript or whatever, the folder on my desktop, it was Peaked, Pekid. Now, I think the proper pronunciation is Pecked. I believe it's an English term, but basically it means sickly. And I do mention that in the book because that was the term that my mother used for me. I was young and even older when I looked peaked. And so Millie Pete, who affectionately was my mother's nickname. It's still hard to talk about her in past tense. But, Millie Pete was very in tune with the fact that she had a sickly daughter. And that was her term to let me know that, you know what, something going on. Are you taking good care of yourself? Because you look a little peaked. So that was the original title. But when I realized, look, I'm going to have to explain this title. It's kind of like a Halloween costume. I feel if you have to explain to someone your Halloween costume, then it's not the right costume. It should be known what it is as soon as somebody sees it. It shouldn't need a disclaimer. And so the same with the book title. I thought, oh, as much as that is meaningful to me, it's not going to be something that people are going to connect with, unless you're Southern and had that same conversation in your own house. So, but it was my working title. And it helped me connect with the book and the manuscript. Then I was trying to come up with what is this about? So, I'd mentioned the Well-Fed Publisher, or the Well-Fed Self-Publisher, the name of Peter Bowerman's book that I referenced. And in it, he spends a great deal of time talking about the title is the most important thing. And because it's what grabs people, the title and the back cover of your book are what get people to buy your book. If they see it on a bookshelf, if they look at it online, that title and that cover and that, it has to all come together. So I wrote the manuscript first. And in the manuscript, it talks about my health. It talks about my time in radio. It talks about my sexuality. And I was like, what is it I'm doing throughout this book? What is the thread? What is it? Is it my health? Yeah, but who would care who doesn't know me? What is it I'm doing? And it's being reflective. What really came out of me writing this book was the fact that I was reflecting on my own life. I was really digging deep into the things that not only happened to me like a historical thing, but it was the emotions behind it. Is how did I feel about this? I'm an activist at heart. How did I feel about this? What was it about? What about it felt unfair or felt like people need to know? And there's also cover art. We'll talk about cover art in another video, but there was some cover art that I had chosen. And that's what I did first instead of the title. I saw this image that I have, and I'm like, I want that's a cover of a book. That's something that really I thought and think will draw people into at least being curious about what is this about. And so with that image and with me kind of being self-reflective, the title I came up with is Facing Inward. So basically, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, but what I'm doing is I'm digging whatever it is inside out. Because when you deal with health issues, you're in survival mode most of the time. You're in protective mode if you're not in survival mode, but there's a level of this energy that you have that is always about kind of I'm making sure that I survive. It's a primal I'm making sure I stick around kind of thing. And in doing so, you don't really take the time to think about how do I feel about this because you'd fall apart. I mean, that's the basic truth. When you are chronically ill, terminally ill, I've never been terminally ill. So I'm not trying to misrepresent that community. However, the the thought of dying, the threat of dying has definitely been in my life. And it's if you think about it in the moment and how you feel about it and sit in it, a lot of times you'll fall apart because it's incredibly lonely to be someone who has a health issue. And that's what the book's about, is just how my life kind of, I don't know, revolved around this subconscious idea that I've got to protect myself from the world, from people. And so it's facing it in writing the book, and it's everything's inward. So facing inward, I don't know. I liked the play of words. Because usually you think about facing out, where I'm facing in. So that's the title of the book, Facing Inward. And so we'll share more of the cover art. We'll just kind of unveil it as time goes. But again, we'll announce when pre-orders can happen, and we'll announce when the actual sale is going to happen. And boy, I really hope that you help support the book, because like I said, I'd love for this experiment to be successful. I would love, because that helps me. I don't know. It helps for everything you go through to have a meaning to it, to have a purpose for it. Right. And so that's what my hope is. So thank you so much for being a part of the channel, for checking it out. You can see below again to links, how to support the channel if you're willing to do that. It's called Buy Me a Coffee. I don't know if you've ever had any dealings with Buy Me a Coffee, but basically, look, if you want to support the channel, I love it. I'm not going to ask a lot from you, but if you're buying you a coffee, why not buy me a coffee? So that link is below as well. And I hope to see you next time. Be sure and subscribe and get notifications. Until then, have a great day.